Alrighty. Hello, everyone. I was planning on doing Last of Us today, but like I don't know, my body just decided it was not feeling it today with that, so I decided doing a podcast would be a little easier on myself. However, I think on Tuesday I will try doing Last of Us just because I do want to give you guys like a Last of Us stream. So I think that will be the plan. That way. Considering I'm not streaming next weekend since it's usually beginning of the first weekend of the month. I usually don't stream. But anyway, so yeah. Excuse me. Oof. Yeah, I decided because recently I finally got Tekken 8. I didn't stream it or anything just because I wanted to kind of play it for myself. You know, it's a series I grew up with and like playing, so I wanted to kind of have it on my own. But I thought, like, okay, well, now that I played pretty much all of it, I played the whole storylines and the things and, you know, like, pretty much all aspects except the online stuff, which I don't really care for the online stuff. So that is oakley dokley for me. I am feeling comfortable enough to talk about it now. I also put Tekken series in the kind of subtitle just because it's like I think I'm probably going to talk about Tekken in general mostly the stream. Just because I don't know, like if I'm talking about Tekken 8, I'm probably going to talk about just Tekken itself just because there's a lot with this game that goes into a lot of like the other games. It's kind of like a homage, I feel like, almost to like the Tekken games in a sense that like one, when the game came out a couple months ago, I think it's like an anniversary, I think, this year of Tekken. I think, if I'm correct, Tekken came out like 1993, 94. So, like, yeah, it's about like a 30th anniversary kind of thing. So it kind of feels like again, like a homage to everything. Let me see when Tekken came out, the first game, if it will indulge me. But of course, it won't indulge me. Yeah, okay, so yeah, Tekken September. Okay, so actually, well, there's different variations, but the first version, at least, of it, I think in arcades and all that, came out on September 21st of 1994. So yeah, no, it is hitting its its 30th anniversary this year, which is pretty cool. So yeah, like you know, it just feels like a kind of like a with how I played it and everything. Like, I feel it's kind of like this is kind of like homage to like all the games and everything like that. Just how it feels, how it plays. I will say spoiler warning a bit. I'm not gonna try going too much detail because this game tried to come out a bit recent. I mean, it has been a couple months, but it is a bit recent still. So I'll try to be a little careful about that. But so there will be some stuff I'll talk about that way. But yeah, you've been warned. But yeah, I want to go into like some stuff first. I kind of want to go to basic stuff first before I get into like the big story aspects first. So game mode wise, I want to talk about just some of those things. So with the gameplay itself, it's very interesting with the changes slash the not changes. In the sense of how I best explain it this way is with what they changed in the sense that, like, apparently the advertising and how they put it when they originally saw the trailers and stuff like that was a bit more aggressive gameplay. And I never really knew what that meant at the time because it's like watching it doesn't really click to how it actually would feel when you play it. So finally getting my hands on it, I actually understand more now what that means. And aggressive gameplay isn't exactly in the sense that like you're, well, I mean, aggressive, like, obviously, but more in the sense of it pretty much wants you to be more offensive than defensive, you know, in the sense that like you gain more by really like doing like big powerful attacks on your opponent versus like just kind of essentially what Tekken has been for the last, like, I want to say a couple of years, maybe like decade, let's just say, at most, maybe since like Tekken 6 or so. Tekken has always been like kind of like, I don't want to say strategic because it's still strategic how you play it, but a lot of the time what you notice is when you play, a lot of the time you're kind of told to be played like in a way that like is careful a little bit. Like, you get punished if you go too hard, you know, on your opponent. Like, if you keep just, like, kind of bashing and bashing and bashing, you get, like, very punished quickly. Which you still do, technically, in some fashion. There is blocking still. You can definitely block. But it pretty much is one of those things of, like, no, once you look for openings, like, completely destroy them, you know, kind of thing with Tekken 8 right now. Like, it's one of those, you find an opening, you're screwed, you know? Like, it's kind of that thing. It's like, you want to be smart, you want to be the one that is the one that gets the upper hand a lot of the time. But it's still pretty much Tekken. It still feels like Tekken. The controls are still the same, as it always has been. The gameplay style is still similar to how it's always been. Like, it's not different, and it's just, in that sense, it's different, at least in the sense of mindset of how you play, I guess, is how it is. Which I actually like. I think it's interesting, because I think it made me realize that as a player, I kind of had this mindset always. That way, that doesn't mean I'm, like, fantastic of a player, but I've always been, like, kind of, like, aggressive, I guess, player, quote-unquote, where I kind of want to, like, just, dash in and, like, do a lot of attacks and not worry having to block so much, kind of thing. Which I'm blocking still now. I'm learning actually to block more, actually. I'm realizing, because of the fact that, again, once they find an opening, it is very easy to get, like, completely and utterly destroyed, in this game. So, kind of learning how to be a little more patient with that kind of thing. But, like, yeah, I think it's really fun. I like the new aspect of gameplay. I like the heat mode, where, you know, you have your heat rush, and, you know, it's a little, like, it's a bar where you use it, and you can either, just use it to, like, get out, you know, stop people from blocking, or you can use, like, a bigger attack with it, like a big combo it has that way. Obviously, rage art is still a thing. So, yeah. I don't know. I think it's good. I like the gameplay. I like it. It feels nice and smooth, and as always, it has everything that I still enjoy about Tekken, so I was kind of worried with the new gameplay and things like that. With Experience, like, if I felt like I was going to be worried, like, oh, is it going to be too much of a change? But no, it's actually, I think it's kind of what Tekken needed. I think it needed this drastic, like, change of gameplay style, since it's been the kind of same, like I said, for, like, about a decade or so, maybe even more than that. Which is fine. What works, but sometimes you gotta just change up sometimes, you know? Otherwise it just really becomes boring in the same game over and over and over again. Sometimes subtle changes make it a big difference in the long run. The graphics in this game, bro, like, I have the PlayStation 5 version. I don't know if they had a cross-platform version, but for the 5 version, at least I have, oh my god, it's so, like, night and day between Tekken 7 and Tekken, like, 8. Like, they really, like, put a lot of time and effort, with this one, at least when it comes to, like, the character models and stuff like that. It looks a lot better. I'm not saying that Tekken 7 was lazy. I'm just saying literally on the lines of, I feel like Tekken 7 could have had more interesting look to it. It just didn't feel like, I mean, like, it definitely was a step up generation-wise, but it just felt blah to me. Versus, like, this feels like a generational, like, jump, you know? Like, it feels like a generational jump. Tekken 7, while it was a generation jump and you can see it, it just didn't feel, like, drastically different. Like, I feel like with Tekken, they're like, Tekken as a series has always been good about that generational jump. Like, they always been good at the generational jump. Like, again, like, from Tekken 3 to Tekken, like, 4, so Tekken Tag, you can really feel the difference between it. Like, you can just feel the technical aspect just, like, boom, completely. Especially if we're talking about just mainline games, like Tekken, I mean, mainline games, I guess I should say, Tekken 3 to Tekken 4, like, my god, night and day. Like, even then, Tekken 3 is still good, and is still, like, really good for its time. Like, really good for its time. So, like, yeah, it's like, excuse me, just, like, yeah, like, phenomenal leaps and bounds. And then, of course, like, Tekken 3, like, yeah, sorry, Tekken 6, like, to, like, Tekken 5 to Tekken 6, like, there's pretty good, like, technical jump there, I feel like, a little bit, though people were still trying to figure out, like, you know, the technology with PlayStation 3 at the time, but I feel like there was a good jump. I feel like the more better example of that is, like, probably Tekken Tag, in my opinion, with that, because at that point, like, it really was, like, they were really cooking, I feel like, with, like, the graphics at that point, even though I know Tekken Tag 2 didn't do well but like Tekken 10 2 had really good graphics, though. It still has pretty good graphics to this day. I feel like it's definitely like nice looking. But I feel like for Tekken like 7, it just didn't feel like spectacular of a jump. Like it just didn't feel like, oh, this is new, this is a different generation of Tekken. It just didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. It wasn't there for me. However, I think what helped this probably generation was one, there was only one Tekken game for the generation for like PS4. There was only one, and that was it. Versus, you know, so like there wasn't like with the PS2 era where there's like a couple of games, you know, like 2 games at least. That way, so then when they got to, you know, Tekken 6, it was like, oh, okay, you know. That thing, like you could see like the progression that way versus here is like kind of the same old, and then you get Tekken and you're like, oh, holy Jesus, it's been a while since I've seen any progression at all. So, yeah, I don't know, but I think also just because I feel like they tried this time. Tekken 4 was like, the thing is like people are comparing Tekken 8 to Tekken 4 in the sense that like it feels different of a Tekken. It feels like this is different, we're new, we're doing more now, kind of thing, and I can see it really wholeheartedly. So the funniest thing is, like, Tekken 4 originally did not do well. People did not like the new concept of gameplay, not liking the characters' designs, that they have done, and, just a lot of things, that they didn't really like. It was mostly gameplay aspect. They didn't like the new gameplay, like, kind of mechanics that way. Until, like you said, they kind of tweaked it in Tekken 5, at that point. But, like, it was so different Tekken 4. And that's what I really appreciate. And people have talked about Tekken 4 this way, but, like, I just always, like, every time I play Tekken 4, and I think I've talked about it, too, even in my own, like, series when I was playing Tekken 4, just how, like, it feels so, like, weird to play. Not in the sense that it's, like, bad weird, but, like, just so, like, it feels unique. It feels, like, different, and I think it's because of the emotion engine at the time, and, like, which was, like, the PlayStation, like, engine that, like, makes it, you know, the characters look like, you know, real and have emotional faces and stuff like that. You know, that's why it's called the emotion engine. It's more for, like, facial, you know, detail and all that to make them look more realistic. And I think, like, they really, Namco, like, really, like, went hard with, like, Tekken 4 in the sense of, like, they wanted to use that, like, new engine to, it's, like, how much a possibility they can use it, you know, for. And they really did it well to the point, like, again, whenever I touch Tekken 4, like, it feels good to look at and play. Like, again, it definitely, you can tell it's a PlayStation 2 title, but it's like, I wouldn't say like far off. Like, if I saw something like it today, I would be like, oh, this is pretty cool, you know, this is good. Like, I'd say probably like a good indie like title, you know, like a good indie title, you know, like they got a lot of money in, they're like, you know, like cooking really well, you know, that way. Like, that's kind of like how I feel like if like someone did like that look today, I'd be like, yeah, man, they got some like pretty good like money out of this, and like, you know, like something like from like Annapurna or something, you know, something that looks like really good, you know, like someone who actually like put a lot of time and effort to like really like make sure that this game like looked good, you know, with like with like half a budget, you know, of a AAA game, you know, kind of thing. So like, yeah, like it still looks good, and like I feel like the drastic changes they did with Tekken 8 is like essentially like comparison to that, I guess, now. Which I like. I think that's cool. I've always liked Tekken 4, so I think that's why I'm like really liking Tekken 8. So yeah, graphics are phenomenal. I've talked about some of the designs in like my outfit video. I talked about, I think, King and maybe like I think Jin's maybe, or like I think at some point, excuse me, I think maybe, but I talked about at least King's design for Tekken 8 when they had like the designs come out, you know, for some of the characters. I will say, hit or miss, some of the designs are cool. I like Jin's like look. I like a lot of like the, you know, characters look. I think Raven looks cool. Again, that I was doing that at a time where I did not know any of the characters that were like gonna be in there. Like just only like a handful. Like God forbid, like I don't know, Joan was gonna be in the game. Like whoa, okay, you know. Like I don't know who's gonna be in there, you know, really fully. But like again, like hey, maybe I think I mentioned like Nina or something like briefly, but like. Yeah, it's really weird to me, but I like, again, like a lot of the designs I like a lot. I think they're good designs. Some of them, like again, Raven's is pretty cool. It's not that vastly different, I don't think, crazily enough. Like I said, Jin's I think is fine. Kazuya is pretty cool. I mean, Kazuya's got like nice designs. I will say there's some like I raised an eyebrow at like Lee's outfit. I get that it's supposed to be Again, here's a tiny little spoiler for the storyline. Like, I get for the story, like, he's, like, you know, making, army suits for, like, you know, the rebellion and all that, and he's having to test it out and all that. But it's like, I don't know, man. It's so different from, like, him wearing, like, a nice suit to, like, just him wearing like that. I'm like, okay, bro, you can do better, man. That looks uggo, man. I don't know. It's not really uggo. It's just more like, I don't know. It just doesn't fit the character to me. But, like, there's that. Everyone's talked about Paul's hair to death. I just don't like Paul's hair. I really don't. It's so it just doesn't look right. Like, if they were gonna do the long hair, they should have done what they did with Tekken 4, right? They should have just had it just be normal long hair. Why did they have to give him the Karen haircut? Who knows? That's just me, man. But I don't know. Like, there's not a lot of designs where I go like, oh, what did they do there? Like, there's only like really a small handful. I'm not a fan of Jack's design. It's just a little too much. The problem is, I think the ones that I don't like are just too much. They're just like, what are you doing there? That's a little extra work you're doing there. That's a little much, but, you know, I like a lot of designs. I think one of my favorite designs, I feel like I'm, like, thinking on top of my head so far. I will say, when it comes to DLC, I'm not happy so far with that, too, but I'll get that in a second with that. But I was just thinking about the design of Eddie Gordo. Because I've seen it briefly. I've not gotten the character, but I mean, you can see him. On my loading screen every time on the main menu. So, but I think my favorite, I'm trying to think, like, cool design that was from my character from a previous game, not one of the newer ones like Victor and all that. Which Victor's cool. I do like Victor, though. Very weird character. I think, man, I'm trying to think. I like Harong's, but I think that's just because he's my main. I have him as my main. But I do like the look for that. I like King's a lot. King's is really cool. I do like his design. It's just nice. I think it looks good that way. Jin, I'm cool with. Jaya's pretty cool, that way. I don't know, yeah, like, it's kind of hard, because it's, like, there's some pretty good ones. There's some pretty good ones. I like Leroy, but I think that's what he's always looked like that way. Leroy's design has always been cool. So, which I finally get to play as him, because, God forbid, again, I didn't want to play for DLC characters, which, speaking of, we're back to that shenanigans again. Not happy already with that. By the way, $7.99 is how much money you have to pay for the characters. It went up. How much money? Why? God forbid. Again, this is my rule, and I will always say, and I know I've ranted about this before on a different podcast or video or whatnot, but, like, my God, if it's a character that should have been in the game in the first place, don't make me pay for them. If it's, like, a guest character, like the Final Fantasy and, like, the Street Fighters or whatever, you know, thing, fine, I'll pay for those. Whatever, fine. They're not in the game in the first place anyway, and they shouldn't be, because they're guest characters. It's only if I want them. But it's like, why do I have to pay money to play as Eddie? Why? Huh? People were complaining he wasn't even in the game, and they were like, alright, well, you can have him, but you have to pay for him. And I'm like, God, why? Why, man? His design is okay, even. Like, I don't know, like, I only see, like, some of his design, but his design is, like, okay. I'm fine with it, but it just feels so drastically different from Eddie. I don't know. Like, why does his beard look like it dyed blonde, too? Why did he do that? That's kind of weird, man. I don't know. And I ain't questioning it. I just wanting to understand. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just mad because it's like, dang it. I like Eddie. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And that means there's going to be more characters. There's going to be more Tekken characters in the past that you're going to have to pay for again. Which is, like, really frustrating in its own way. I don't know who. I don't know which ones. They're probably not going to have the same ones from the last game. You know, they're probably not going to have Marduk and Lee and Anna and all that. They're probably not going to do those guys again because I'm sure people would have a hissy fit having to pay again for those characters. So, probably going to do different characters. I don't know who specifically. I'm trying to think, like, who didn't end up in the game. In general, like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of characters, like, I don't know, maybe, like, was it Jodie, I think her name was? Like, maybe she might be a DLC character, like, that you have to pay for. You know, like, I don't know, man. Like, that could be a possibility. You probably know maybe that is the next character. Watch. That's probably the next character. I called it. Man, I probably didn't call it, but I don't know how many people actually played that character. Or Catalina, you know, like, I liked her. I kind of, like, got good with her in Tekken 7, but, like, You know, like, she could be a DLC character you have to pay for. It's like, it kind of sucks because it's like, why? Why are you making me pay for characters that should be in the game? That sucks, man. Come on, you know? Like, especially characters that were from the last game, too. You know, that's probably likely what's gonna happen. So who knew? Who knows? I don't know, but that just annoys me. I'm already ticked off by that already. I immediately am just like, come on, God, come on. Rather than Eddie not even show up at all than him be a DLC. I know that sounds horrible, but it's just like, it's one of those things where I'm like, at least I can accept that anger of being like, oh, he's not in the game, hope he's in the next one. But it's like, oh, he's in the game, but you have to pay for him. Like, that sucks, you know? That makes me more mad. But anyway, I'm gonna move on from that because I know that's a tangent I've already had millions of times before. I can scream it to death and nothing will change. Money is money. People are gonna pay for him. So yeah, I can't change anything. There's nothing I can change about that in the universe. So I can cry and whine all about it all I want, but nothing will change. So moving on. Different games that you can play. Actually, no, let me talk about some of the newer characters actually before we go on. Because there are some new characters. Like I said, Victor. I mentioned Victor. He's like a agent character for the UN. He's Riven's like mentor type of like leader kind of thing. Very interesting, very weird character to me. But he's kind of cool though. He's vibing. I will say, this is what my dad said like when he first showed up on screen. When I was like, I think playing just whatever, you know, like I think tournaments or whatever, like not tournament, but like within the game mode or whatever. And I'm kidding you not. My dad literally went, oh, is that Colonel Sanders? I kid you not. That is literally what my father said while I was playing, and I was like, okay, man. Well, now, all right. I don't know who. I'm sure that will probably upset some stands out there who like Victor, but yeah, no. I'm sorry. My father has spoken. He looks like Colonel Sanders, I guess. He's a French Colonel Sanders. So there you go. I don't know. Like, wow, yeah, that took me off guard when he said that. I had to pause my game for a second because that actually, like, really destroyed me. Utterly, wow. So, anyway, that's a quote from my father. There you go. About that character. You do that as you will. I don't know. I don't want to say, like, Leroy and stuff like that because technically he was in the last game, but again, he had to pay for him. But I will talk about them because I think I just never had the chance to like really, I don't know, like I just haven't had a chance to like really talk about their characters and play as them, you know. So it's like, yeah, I like Leroy though. He's really cool. I see why a lot of people like really liked him. He's like an interesting character. His fighting style is pretty cool. Like it's a vibe. I get it, you know. I get it now. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's, you know, that kind of part. I'm trying to think of other characters that are new. Oh yeah, oh my god, I'm sorry if I pronounce this one. I heard her name a couple times, but it's always weird. Asusina, I think. She is the coffee chick, as I call her. Which is interesting. Her fighting style is unique and interesting. I like her fighting style. Her character's a little weird. Obviously, to me, I don't hate her character, but it's very, almost, like, up there to being obnoxious, but not enough where I'm like, you know, about it. You know, at least she doesn't have, like, a super, like, annoying voice. Her voice is pretty, like, just fine, you know, that way. So, but I think her fighting style is pretty cool, so I can't be annoyed by her. Like, I can't be like, oh, I hate her, you know. So, like, I think she's fine. I think she's a good enough addition to, like, the cast of characters. I think it's cool. That way. Oh yeah, and Rena. Very interesting, Rena. I'm gonna save her for later because I have many thoughts. Lots of thoughts. Lots of thoughts. Also, I just looked up the cast of characters because I can't remember exactly on top of my head which characters were new or not. But also, I just remember too, Yoshimitsu, actually, for once, does not look like a creepy little, like, creepy alien guy. He looks kind of normal, actually. If anything, it's kind of closest to, like, Tekken 3 look. Maybe, like, a little bit of, like, mixture of other stuff. But, like, yeah, he's not weird looking. He doesn't have tentacles coming out of his head anymore, though you can have that as a costume if you want that, I guess. But, I mean, he looks normal again, which is cool. They did justice to Yoshimitsu, finally, after so long. Yeah, it's kind of interesting too because it's so weird. Like, it has been so long since like they even remotely showed him as human. So the fact that like when you can see his like loveless, hand, it's kind of weird because I'm like, oh Jesus, there's skin there. That's an actual human under there. Jesus, it's like they almost were like tired of getting people asking like, is Yoshi Mr. Human? And it's like, just look it up. Yes. So they're like, fine, here, take it. This is the bit of human you get to see of it. I don't know. It's not my fault that I'm asking that, considering how much of weird designs you've given him over the years. Like, Christ, man, come on, whatever. Like, again, I don't think I've seen like any like bit of like humanistic him done him since, like I said, like Tekken 3. I think maybe even Tekken 4, a bit. But like, yeah, I don't know. But still, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, for the most part, like the new cast of characters, which is not that many new characters, which is interesting to me. At least in the sense of like, because there's some characters from the last game like Claudio that show was introduced that came back in this game, but like I'm not counting them because it's like they technically have been introduced in the game. But yeah, there's only like 3 new characters in total, I think. Yeah, 3 new characters, which is weird. I'm not mad about it, but it's interesting. They toned down, I guess, the amount of new cast. Maybe they heard last game about how a lot of people were annoyed by that, how it was mostly just new characters. So yeah, it is what it is. That way. But no, I think at least with the newer characters, they're fine. Like I said, I will talk about Rina a little bit because I have a lot of thoughts. That's where I'm probably going to talk a lot about the story, so I want to wait for that. But okay, now on to other game modes. There are the arcade mode, which is again the normal arcade mode. You go through 8 8 stages. That one's just a silly, fun arcade mode kind of thing. Pretty standard. Nothing that crazy or interesting about it. This is just the normal stuff before I get to the story-based stuff. Then there's Arcade Quest, which is an interesting little mode. You create a little avatar character, which is also you with the Tekken Lounge. I don't really looked at much of Tekken Lounge, but I know it's a thing. Essentially, you make a little character for yourself, and you go through essentially like playing the arcade quote-unquote version of Tekken. Like you are a person who's a competitive like Tekken fighter, like Tekken player, I should say. You face like you go to different arcades, you like go against different people, you win like a champion, you go to win a championship and stuff like that. Like, it's interesting and kind of fun. It's silly. It's something to do. It's like it's a nice little thing, to do. It's not really long or anything. It's really one of those things where it's like if you have a main, it's pretty dang easy to go through that way. Like, again, my main is Harong. I've always played him since like for a really long time. I think since like Tekken 7, I think I finally really got into his character because they took the string out of the game at that point and I couldn't do anything. So I was like, well, fine, I guess I'm learning some new characters at some point. So, and I kind of just adopted him kind of like over the other games, the past games too. I kind of was like, you know what, I kind of like his fighting style more. I feel like I've matured enough for his fighting style, so I kind of just got more into his like fighting style and kind of started to like have him as my man. So yeah, that's kind of who I used throughout the whole arcade quest. Was him. So you can change your character anytime, though. I will forewarn, it's probably not a good idea to do it unless, of course, you want to go back to older arcades, so that way you can up your character's ranks, because you do get destroyed easily if you don't. Which leads me to Super Arcade Battle, Super Ghost Battle, I should say. Which is like a little room area. It's kind of like a thing you get after doing a little bit of Arcade Quest, and you can unlock costumes and stuff like that for like alternative costumes for like the characters in there, and you can up your ranking up a bit there, but again, it's kind of at whatever point you are as like whatever character you have. So even if you do change your main, I don't know if it goes back down or not. I've not tested it. Probably does. I just haven't tested it. But yeah, there's a ghost battle where you face your own ghost. You can get better, kind of see what's your gameplay style, and maybe you can tweak your gameplay style that way. There's downloading a ghost. I guess you can download like players' ghosts, I guess, which is interesting and weird that you can do that. And then there's CPU ghosts, where you can just fight ghosts that way, whether you want to get better or you can, like I said, get loot boxes to like for like old costume alternates or like other things like that. It's interesting. It's kind of good if you just want to get better at the game in general. Um, Especially I feel like your ghost kind of makes it definitely like one of those things of like when I first did the ghost battle with myself, I was like, oh, this is my gameplay style. Okay, this is weird. You know, like it was like kind of just an odd kind of like awakening of how I actually play. It's kind of nice actually because it's like it gets you to go become better because you know your weaknesses and your strengths really well. You know what people can exploit out of you and all that, so you're trying to get better at those parts. Like I can see it working really well if you want to get better at online playing that way. So like I can definitely see it being like a good way to practice and train with yourself. So yeah, you know it's I think a good addition. There's just like a versus mode where you can just first, you know, either computer or yourself. That's that. Practice, obviously, that's always been standard in the games, you know, practice your characters and all that. That's where you can learn more moves and get better at moves and all that. And then there's Tekken Ball, which I was not expecting Tekken Ball to make a comeback in this game. Like, I mean, like, they had Tekken Bowl as, like, a DLC pack, in the last game for Tekken 7, and that was fun and cool. I only just discovered Tekken Bowl because I only just got Tekken Tag 1, like, a couple of years ago, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago or something, like, think, like, pandemic era. I was like, I don't want to play all the Tekken games. That's the only Tekken game I have not played. So, in theory, so I was like, okay, I will get this game, and I realized that's where Tekken Bowl came from, and I was like, oh, okay. So, that was my, like, actual introduction to it, and then I got the DLC, like, not too long after, for Tekken 7, because I'm like, well, okay, I like the game, and I think it's fun, and yeah, so, you know, I still think I prefer Tekken Bowl and Tekken Tag, because I like the fact that you can, like, switch off characters. I mean, you could do, like, just one character if you wanted for it, in Tekken Tag 1, but, like, you can also, like, have, like, a tag, you know, characters, like, you can have King and Iron King or something play together as a team, you know, like an actual, like, bowling, where you have actual teams, you know, play together, like, it's fun, It's fun. It's cool. And also, you can double your points that way. Because you get 2 rounds for each one, so it's fun. Versus just 1 round. So, you know, yeah, it's cool. But, yeah, I did not expect Tekken Ball to make a comeback. If you don't know what Tekken Ball is, you're not playing Tekken 3 currently. But in Tekken 3, this is where it originally came from. Essentially, it's a volleyball game where you punch the ball, or kick the ball, whatever you, like, kind of do, like, attacks on the ball, and you use it to, like, hit your opponent, or try making them go over your opponent, like actual volleyball. If you hit it, like, a certain way, it gives it, like, a power-up, so it does more damage to the character. There's easy, hard mode and all that with the different balls that way. But yeah, they brought it back in this game. I was not expecting to see that. It was such a weird trip just to see that name again in a different game, and I'm like, Tekken Ball? Tekken Ball? Man, you don't know about Tekken Ball. Like, I know Tekken Ball. Like, I don't know. It was so weird to me. I was just so, like, I was not ready, but I was also, like excited because it's like, okay, that's actually kind of cool. They brought it back. Fun little note. I was playing around and messing around with it at one point, and my cat recently has discovered the TV ever since not me, but my dad had played Stray about 2 years ago or so. Like, sometimes my cat will just watch the television, watch the TV, so sometimes we either put, like, stuff that would interest him on TV, like birds and stuff like that, and sometimes we just keep playing whatever game we have. So I was playing Tekken Ball. He got really excited because there was a ball on screen. So, I was nearing just wanting to kind of stop, but then he got excited about it, so I was like, alright, I'll play a couple more rounds. So it was kind of fun to see him react and try batting at the screen at times. It was very cute and fun. I wish I recorded it, but I didn't, but it is fine. It lives in my head rent free. If you want to see my cat do something similar, like I said, I posted. I think I even have something on my phone too. I need to post at some point too because I'm having another experience looking at the TV. But on my Instagram, at one point, I posted my cat reacting for the first time about that thing about talking about Stray when Dad playing it and him reacting to it. So if you want to see what it looked like, you can get a glimpse of that of how it looked. So, but yeah, Tekken Ball, really interesting. Never thought I'd see it again. I am disappointed though, because I kind of wanted Tekken Force to come back. I know that sounds like a mad person being like, you want Tekken Force to come back? I do, alright? I want the challenge. You know, I want Tekken Force more back. Give it back. I don't know, man. Maybe a DLC, it's possible. However, I will say, spoiler to, like, a bit of the story, of the main story, there is a part in the story where you do have to face an army of the G Corp. I think G Corp. Yeah, G Corp. And you get to play as like a couple different characters like Lee, Lars, Leo, and all that. Lee, Lars, Leo. I just said all the L character names. All right, cool. I decided that was what I wanted to do at that moment. But yeah, you get to play those characters, and well, actually, I think it was only Lars and Lee, and I think King. Pretty much that, like, there was like it had like a kind of Tekken Force mode where you would have to beat up bad guys that way in the same way. So they had a homage to it in some fashion. I'll give them credit for that. They had a homage that made me happy, ultimately. But I still wish they had the mode. I don't know. I just want an announcer to say chicken again, in just in some fashion. I don't know, man. I don't know. They should have just had it, where like just a chicken comes from the sky, and it's just a nice little like just little Easter egg. I don't know. That would have been funny. For no reason. No one would have. If no one played Tekken, like, Force, like, no one would have got it except the people who got it, and it would have been funny. But, like, anyway. Still, nice little touch, little kind of homage to people who had played it. That way, it was a nice little thing. Though, kind of felt more closer to Tekken, like, 6, because they had a whole story mode, arcade kind of little mode, where you would kind of do, like, that beat 'em up style, too. It was kind of more to that. But, it's still... Either way, it felt more closer to Tekken Force, though, just because of having to fight the little army guys and all that. Little army guys. They were not little, but army people. Because that was mostly what, excuse me, Tekken Force was. And having to fight a boss at one point. But, yeah. I don't know, like, there was that. But yeah, that's a bit, like, for, like, main game modes. I mean, there's customization, which I feel like they kind of dumbed down the customization. Like, a bit in this mode. I don't know, like, it feels like it's just not as, like, I feel like I can't go as crazy as I want to. It's not like I was crazy with customization anyway, but, like, a lot of, like, the classic outfits are either, like, blocked by Egg and Pang, or, you know, they don't exist. So, it's either or. Like, it's a little annoying. I don't know. I wish they brought more of the classic stuff. For all I know, they will. And again, you have to pay for it, but, well, you know. Again, customization wasn't, like, my crazy thing. The only time I really customized was I wanted, like, some of the older costumes back, so I would purposely put them on the older costumes, but, like I said, I don't hate the designs in this game as much, so, like, I don't feel like I'm having to do that too often. I can maybe do a session, like, with Paul, but, like, his hair was free. His old hair was free, thank God. So, you know, there you go. All was right in the world. I fixed everything, you know. But, yeah, that was that way. I mean... That's really it that way. So when it comes to story, we have obviously the main storyline, which like they had in the last game, where it goes through different chapters and things like that. You play mostly as Jin, sometimes playing as some other characters like I mentioned before, and different little things. But it's mostly Jin and Kazuya fighting kind of thing. Main premise, I'll give like a short little summary plot rundown, is Jin pretty much is finally, you know, goes against his father, Kazuya. He doesn't really go well, and so he loses his ability to use his devil form, and the whole game is pretty much trying to gain his power back, but also not just gain his power back, but gaining his power back for himself in general, of being able to control the devil gene and ultimately, you know, save the world while, you know, fighting alongside his friends and, you know, comrades and all that. So that's pretty much kind of the general gist that way of the storyline. I mean, I know it's very general, I said, but again, I'm trying not to do too many spoilers that way. But yeah, that's kind of my whole gist thing of what I've been doing. Okay, so I got a text. I will answer it in a moment. So yeah. Pretty much, like, yeah, like, it was it was actually kind of fun. What I'm really happy about, and so happy I can shake my microphone in, like, such joy, they finally brought back story characters. Story modes for characters, like, separate characters, not, like, some chapters for, like, some tiny bit of characters, but, like, every character had a story, and it had an ending little story. It made me happy. Very happy. It was actually really cool how they did it, actually. I think the way they did it made me actually, like, much prefer than what they have done in, like, many years. Essentially, they have 5 rounds of P fighting instead of, like, the 8 or whatever they would have you in the past. That way, like, essentially like the arcade mode. Instead of the arcade mode, they pretty much kind of changed it a little bit. Either you would be fighting within the ring, or you'd be fighting like in a certain location if it's not like based off of that. Like for example, Yoshimitsu didn't fight in a ring. He fought like in some like certain locations that way, versus maybe like Jayu would fight in the Tekken tournament ring. So yeah, like it was cool. It was very nice. Again, every character, and I mean every character, had its own little story. Even if they, were in like Jin and Kazuya were in the had their own like whole actual canon story. Like these are mostly like kind of like either like fun what if concepts, or like just kind of funny jokey haha kind of stuff, which makes me always laugh and chuckle. One of my favorite parts about Tekken series is like just the humor and jokiness of some of it. So like yeah, like it's like really fun that way. So that really made me happy that they brought this back. Like I've been wanting and begging for this. I mean, many people were begging for this back, but it made me feel like there was something to do for the game, and like yeah, like there was like it was a really fun time doing it. It's not like you unlock much for it. You get all the characters off the bat anyway. Actually, not true. You have to unlock Jun and Rina through the main story in order to be able to play them in the character story mode thing. So technically you did have to unlock some stuff. So actually it is a little more like you have to do this and do that, but like for the most part you're able to pretty much play like all the characters. So like it was nice that way. But it was really fun. I'm really happy about it. Jun being back again is crazy to me. I mentioned Jun and it's still weird to be like, huh. Like the circumstances for her being around is still confusing. They didn't really answer much. I mean, a little bit of the characters story mode answers a little bit of it, but like for the most part not much. So I still think there's a lot more that's gonna go on. I feel like Tekken 9, which is going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. The story is not over yet. It's feel like it's like just getting started in its own way after playing the main story. But I feel like we're probably gonna get more Joan in Tekken 9. It seems like, so that's exciting. That's unique. That's pretty cool. And I've been seeing Rina because it's a bit of a spoiler. She's a very big kind of thing for this game. So if you've not played it, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about the storyline because I kind of really need to for this character because she's very unique and important to the plot. So if you've not played it and you want to, play it yourself and not know the storyline, leave now. I'll try keeping this as short as possible, so check in next 5 or so minutes, and if I'm still talking about it, then keep going ahead. But I can keep coming, keep checking back in. I'll be quick with it though. I'll try to be quick with it. So, okay, so for Rina, she is apparently the daughter of Heihachi, so which means she is the sister or younger sister of Kazuya, and technical aunt to Jin. It's really weird, considering the story that they went with was that, pretending that being like, oh, Jin senpai, pretending like she wants him to be mentor, but the reality is she's actually tricking them all that way. Really weird, that way. So that's one of those like eyebrow raising things. And the thing is, it's not like the Leah or like Lars situation where it's like, they're not, I don't know if like they're like, I don't know with Lars still confuses me a little bit. I can't remember if he's adopted or not, but like, I don't think it's like related that way. But like with Rina, it seems like she's like very much like related. So that's kind of like a interesting thing that way. And biggest spoiler, this is like the end of the game, is she is is devil. Like she has the devil gene herself. She can turn into a devil. It is crazy. It is weird. It's like, moment. So not necessarily related to Heihachi. She can turn into like a devil form. So that has many a question, and yeah, like it's kind of weird. I've seen some fan speculation about what she is, how she's come to be. My favorite headcanon I've seen a couple of times so far is that like she is like a clone, essentially like a Nina Steve Fox situation, where like Steve Fox is like technically not a clone, but like pretty much taken the DNA, like has the DNA of Nina, and so technically Nina is Steve Fox's mom. So like essentially people are thinking like, okay, maybe somehow Heihachi and like someone who had the devil gene created Rina, which kind of makes sense. I like that headcanon more, and I kind of want that to be what happens, but we'll see. Of course, we don't know. But yeah, kind of crazy. Was not expecting that at all. It seems like Kazuya isn't dead either. Again, we see her like, you know, loom over him. But yeah, no, it's crazy. So yeah, no, Rina, I like her character. She's interesting. I feel like it's a nice kind of like way for people to be like, oh man, Heihashi's gone, but it's like, hey, at least you have a character that still has pretty much the same moveset. It's a little different, obviously, but it's pretty much generally the same. There's some moves that are similar, but yeah, I think she's a nice addition to the cast. I think she's interesting. It's kind of a nice little like, okay, the game's still continuing, the story still goes, you know, kind of thing. I don't know how long Tekken could go as long as it wants to, and it can outlive, you know, Jin and Kazuya. Clearly, like, there could be other characters that can be, like, become, like, the main characters of the series. That's not the issue, so. But yeah, I don't know how long the Mishima, you know, Kazuya, you know, kind of like Kazuya versus Jin type of thing, you know, is gonna go. Seems like it's gonna go a little longer. But now we have an extra character arena part of it, so I think it's interesting and fun still, nonetheless. So, yeah, I am excited for that. But overall, my, like, ultimate thoughts about Tekken 8 is that I like it a lot. It's a nice addition to the series. I feel like it redeemed the series a lot. I'm not saying Tekken 7. I know I kind of am harsh on Tekken 7. I don't think it was bad. I just don't think I was the audience for it. I think Tekken 8 is a nice balance, at least me. I'm a person who likes story stuff. I'm not a person who plays online. I kind of like Tekken more in the sense that, like, I've been playing Tekken before it even had, like, really online capabilities. So I've more used to, like, the single player, the story aspect of it more. You know, the individual characters' stories too, like, an aspect of the games versus actually going online and playing and other players and all that. But I feel like this is a nice balance. I feel like they were able to, like, be like, okay, we want to give to the people who love online, who love the tournament aspect of Tekken, but also the people who just like the story, the characters, the, you know, little small things of the games that people enjoy, and they made a good balance, and they did a pretty dang good job. So, you know what? Good job, guys. You did it. You made it again. You made me happy about Tekken once more. And it's definitely a game I will be playing on the channel at some point, probably just for funsies, you know, fun little stuff, because there's stuff I still can unlock with the game. Right now I'm taking a break from it. I'm playing another game right now. Akomi. I finally got Akomi after so many years. I've talked about it, I think, briefly, but pretty much, long story short with Akomi, I played the game a lot when I was a kid on one of those PlayStation 2 demo discs that I've played on the channel before. And I played it a lot, and I always liked it, and I saw it was on sale for a good price, and I said, screw it, I'll play it, and I'll get it. And so I started playing it, and I like it so far. It's very cute and fun. You get to play as a little Wolfle? A little wolf dog, whatever. It's cute. It's fun. It's cool. So I'm enjoying that. So I kind of take a break with Tekken 8. So probably if I go back to it, I probably will stream me doing the ghost battle stuff, unlocking like some of the loot crates and stuff like that. That would probably be what I would do, for the most part. So yeah, look out for that in the future if I decide I don't want to do a podcast or want to play anything else but that. So there's that. But yeah, I like the game a lot. I'm happy about it. I definitely recommend it if you are a fan of Tekken. For sure, and just like fighting games in general. It's a fun fighting game series in general. Tekken in general. Anyway, I realize I was saying that a lot, but no, definitely recommend Tekken 8 if you like fighting games or you haven't played the Tekken series in a while. I highly recommend it. Honestly, it's really fun, even if it's gonna be a little weird to get used to again if you're not played Tekken in a while with some of the newer aspects of the game. It's not that hard. You'll pick it up quickly. It's definitely one of those things, if with the new stuff, it's quick to pick up, easy, and you definitely have an upper hand if you've already played Tekken games. If you haven't, it's still easy to get into. It's fun. It's fine, for sure. Which I'm questioning, how come you not played Tekken before? It's a great series. Even though I bash Tekken 7, it's still a good game, Tekken 7, in the sense that it's still fun. So, you know, what haven't you played? You know, come on. It's fun. Do it, especially if you like fighting games. There's no reason not to play Tekken. It's one of the best fighting games out there. I didn't say the best. It's one of, okay? I'm not gonna come after Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or whatever, you know? Don't come after me with that. I'm just saying it's one of. But anyway, with that, I think I'm gonna start wrapping up because it was about an hour, and I don't know what else to talk about with this game. I've talked about all my thoughts and things, and yeah. So, with that, probably next time if I do a podcast, I think I'm probably gonna do a special because we are getting to the 50 episode mark, and I want to do stuff. I don't know what yet. I will probably let you all know, probably, if I do, whenever I do it. Probably we'll have a guest. Gus, maybe? Jacob? I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm really not sure what I want to do with episode 49. Because we're on 49. Like I said, we're going to do 50 soon. So, I don't know. I probably might try to get a guest. Or if not, I might try to do something, like, really fun. I don't know. Maybe looking back on some streams. We'll see. I don't know. Like I said, it's a we'll see situation. But, nonetheless, I'll let y'all know. Keep a lookout. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it will happen at some point. And I'll finally introduce the new background to you guys. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. But yeah, so, with that, I hope you all enjoyed the stream still. If you like it, dislike it, comment below what you thought. There should be another Marvel Nemesis out tomorrow, so look out for that. I think episode 4, so, yeah. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So, bye guys.